Well, hello there, beautiful people. So, if you're just coming here from my welding and automotive and do-it-yourselfing channel because you just watched a video about my first year as a welder, well, you're pretty goddamn awesome and I really fucking appreciate it. Welcome to what is actually my main channel, where I tend to shoot my loaded opinions out into the ether and see whose face they land on. If you're listening to this and you're not sure what I'm talking about because maybe you didn't know I had another channel, well, I'll give you a link to it down below. You should probably want to, I don't know, maybe check it out, see what I do when I have spare time and don't make videos or something like that. Alright, moving right along. By the way, if you haven't watched the video that's related to this one, which I will give you a link to, might want to do that. It's good for context, at the very least. At this point, I'm going to assume you either watched it or were not interested, which is fine. It's whatever. I understand. It's okay. Anyways, so, I did it. I successfully did it. I pulled myself up by my bootstraps, and through hard work and perseverance and blood and sweat and tears and probably a few other bodily fluids, I managed to go from being a hotel night auditor, not making a whole hell of a lot of money, to being a structural steel welder, making a good amount of money, and at the time of recording this video, which there was actually a time difference, even though I'm putting them out the same day, there was a time difference between this video and my other video that I'm referencing, but now I am a certified welder. So, yeah, that's pretty awesome. Anyways, I did it. Like I said, I pulled myself up by my bootstraps, I got a better job, and if I can do it, well, certainly so can you. Right, I did it, you can do it. No excuses. No excuses. I did it, you could do it. And before you go off on me in the comments section, I already know that's one shitty attitude to have. In fact, a very good friend of mine took the time to explain to me exactly how shitty that attitude is to have, because for one, yes, some people have, like, what I perceive as crappy jobs, that also happen to not pay very well, but they tend to like those jobs that, like I said, I perceive as crappy, and just wish those jobs paid better. And it would really suck to leave a job you love that doesn't pay very well and go to a job you hate that does pay very well. And I can sympathize with that. I actually sympathize with that quite a bit. The point I also want to get to that this person also pointed out to me is that for many, many years, I worked really shitty, really low-paying jobs. I busted my ass at those jobs. I all the while had a college degree and wasn't really able to make use of it because the job market went to shit. I had IT industry certifications that I wasn't able to put to use because, again, the local job market didn't quite allow for it. The jobs just weren't out there. So I had to take all these shitty, crappy, low-paying jobs, busted my ass, worked very hard. And that's the thing, I worked I don't know how to not work hard. And except for when I'm at home, and then I just kind of sit on my ass. But anyways, I worked hard and really got nowhere and didn't make a whole lot of money. And, like looking back at that time, was I lazy? Fuck no. There were times when I was working 2 and 3 jobs. How can you say somebody who, works, 80 fucking hours a week is lazy? They're not. And it really got me to thinking. It really, kind of started getting it's caused me to do some really serious self-reflection and, just kind of look back and say, all right, my friend is right. I am being an asshole. I really got thinking about things, and I'm like, this is starting to really change the way I see things. The more self-reflection I did, the more my ideas and my opinions changed. And yes, I am very proud of the fact that I was on one very low level and got to a slightly higher level. And, I was living on, the cheap ramen. Now I'm eating the good ramen. And I'm able to put money into savings and I'm able to do things with my money. Other than, just survive. Which is nice, which is wonderful. And I kind of want that for other people, people who are not me. And I got thinking, okay, what would make life easier, I should say, for many of us who do live in America and who maybe are in a bad situation and maybe want to get themselves out of it in some way. And I started thinking about things. And one thing I don't want to talk about in the course of this video, I mean, if you want to have it out in the comments section, if you want to make a response video about it, that's fine, that's dandy. I don't want to talk about privilege. Because this is my honest opinion. We could argue about privilege and what privileges I have and what privileges I don't have and what privileges you have and what privileges you don't have. We could talk about that all goddamn day and at the end of the day, it's probably not going to get anywhere. And I'm not saying that privilege doesn't exist. I'm not saying that something should be done about it. It's just not a subject I really want to talk about right now. What I do want to talk about is basically some things that the more I think about it, the more I agree with it, and the more I'm pretty much turning into like a bleeding heart leftist. I mean, seriously. Let me go over some things that I actually now in more recent years support that I didn't support a few years ago, because I came to the realization that yes, while I did work myself up to one point, this shit would have made things a lot easier for me, and would have made things a lot easier for damn near anyone else who was in the position I was in. And the first thing I want to talk about is actually raising the minimum wage. Now, I did do a whole video on this, but like I look at my situation that I was in. If the minimum wage was higher, I mean, I didn't work minimum wage job, but if the minimum wage was something closer to a living wage, then I would have been making more money. And also, maybe when it came time to change jobs, like, I'm not even making this shit up. It took me months to find a job, and part of the reason why it took me months to find a job, I mean, we're talking damn near a year. The reason why it took me so goddamn long to find myself my first welding job is because, like, I would go in for, like, some of these more entry-level, like, welding-type jobs, or even, like, not really a welder, but, like, a grinder, or metal prep, or, you know, welder's helper, or something like that. And these jobs didn't pay for shit. I was actually making more money at the hotel. I would be on interviews for these jobs, and I would have to say to the person doing the interview, hey, I make more at the hotel. I make more sitting on my ass at a hotel. You're gonna have to do better than this. And of course they wouldn't. You know, it was like, oh, well, stay working at the hotel. Okay, I will. You know, at least, you know, I'm not taking a massive pay cut. You know, yeah, okay, I'll go on to doing something I maybe like a little bit better than working at the hotel, but I gotta eat too. I gotta pay an electric bill. I gotta pay, you know, I got bills to pay and mouths to feed. You know, I can't just, you know, go to a lower paying job just because I may like it better. Oh, wait, that kind of gets back to something a friend of mine said, doesn't it? Like, that's even worse. Like, if you have, like, a job you hate, but it pays good, and the job you want actually pays less, that would really suck to go to that one, right? So, like, if the minimum wage was higher, I honestly, and it was a living wage, that would have been less of a problem for me at the time, alright? Another thing that I honestly believe would have made life so much better for me is for most of in fact, the entire first year I was a welder and a few months into the following year, I had no health insurance. I was working a relatively dangerous job with no health insurance because I was a temp and I couldn't get health insurance. And then when I got brought on full time, I actually had to wait 3 months to get health insurance. Now, if we had a system in America that allowed us to have health insurance and it was affordable, and it wasn't attached to its affordability wasn't attached to somebody's employment, you know, like even maybe some taxpayer-funded universal health care, that would be awesome. I honestly think that some people stay at their shitty jobs. If it's not for the pay, it's for the health insurance. And, you know, I just think about somebody who maybe is in a worse situation than I'm in. I'm relatively healthy for a short, fat person in their 40s. But what about, you know, somebody who, you know, needs that health insurance because they're on, like, regular medication or something, and if they go, like, say, 90 days without health insurance, they're fucked, right? That's the kind of shit I think about. You know, and I also think, well, you know what would have made things a lot easier for me, and I mentioned it a lot in the video about my first year as a welder, is I did not go to trade school. I have no formal education as a welder. I'm damn good at welding, but I either taught myself, or I learned from watching YouTube videos, or I learned on the job, which, that's totally fine. In the trades, you can do that. Other jobs, you can't do that. But in the trades, usually you can do that. Here's the problem, alright? I do think I may have been slightly better off, at least landing my first job, if I had gone to trade school. And, you know, when you look at other jobs, yeah, if education was affordable, people would be able to get themselves out of bad situations. And I know some people are going to make the argument student loans. Yeah, put yourself in debt. Hey, I'm still paying off a student loan from a degree that I got 20 years ago, okay? Taking out student loans, I feel, is not really the answer because you could wind up in a situation like I was in where you get the degree, maybe things are going good for, you know, a year, 2 years, or whatever, and then all of a sudden, things go to shit, and that degree you have isn't helping you anymore, and then you can't pay your student loan. That's a situation that I was in for a long time. I'm finally able to pay my student loans once again, you know, 20 years after I got my degree. Moving right along, but I do agree with the whole idea of affordable education, even if that means taxpayer-funded education. Like, we have taxpayer-funded education from kindergarten on all the way up to 12th grade. Why is it bad to extend that to, say, a bachelor's degree? Or to extend that to a year or two of trade school? And, I mean, even at that, you know, a year or two of trade school, that's more people in the skilled trades. You know, a bachelor's degree, okay, that's 4 years of college. That's more educated people, more able to take jobs that actually pay good, that require an education. You know, I don't understand why people see this as a bad thing. And this is just where I'm at. I like I said, I'm turning into a massive fucking leftist because I realized, yes, my situation was bad, but one, it could have been worse. There are people in worse situations than my own. And, you know, if the minimum wage was higher, if education was affordable, if healthcare was affordable. And the joke I make at work is, hey, if I get hurt, don't call me an ambulance. Call me a fucking Uber. Hell, throw my ass on wheels and call a fucking tow truck. Put me in my truck for all I care. I don't care. You know, don't call an ambulance because ambulances are goddamn expensive. You know, it's shit like that. You know, if healthcare was affordable, if minimum wage was higher, if education was affordable, that we didn't have to go into debt. And I know somebody's going to come along and say, well, you could join the military. Okay, one, I couldn't join the military at 40. All right. Yes, I could have joined when I was 18, but 18-year-old me would not have made it in the military. That would have been a joke. Military is not for everybody. And the whole thing about military is, yes, you get all these wonderful benefits out of the military. You get housing, education, basic income, healthcare, and you give up a little bit of your freedom to get all that. You know what that sounds like? 'Cause it's all funded by the taxpayers. Sounds a lot like socialism. So if your answer is, well, that I should have joined the military when I was 18, 20-odd years ago, or that somebody who maybe is younger and is in a similar situation to my own should join the military, you're basically supporting socialism. I don't want to support that kind of socialism. I'm more about, you know what, pay a little more in taxes and get a lot more in the way of benefits. You know, there's nothing wrong with a higher minimum wage. If I have a higher minimum wage, I'm bringing in more money. I'm taxed a percentage of my income. That's more of my income that's actually going into the tax system. You ever think about that? If I'm getting health care, that means I'm probably going to be healthier. I'm going to probably take less time off from work because I'm going to be more apt to go to the doctor when I need to and go and get checkups and shit like that. Like, it actually all works for the better. Like, I don't understand why people don't think about this. Seriously, like, the more I look into it, the more I understand, the more I'm just like, fuck, I'm turning into a leftist. And it all started with me doing something that, like, conservatives tell me to do all the time. Pull myself up by my bootstraps. That's what happened. I pulled myself up by my bootstraps and I became a leftist. What the fuck? What the fuck? But then again, I read the Bible and I became an atheist. So, I guess that's how it works. I don't know. But, yeah, like, I came to support a lot of things that a few years ago, I would never before raising the minimum wage. A few years ago, I still had my qualms about universal health care. And also for education being affordable. A few years ago, I would not have been for any of these things, and now I am. So, that's kind of weird, but, that's just the way it happened, just the way it worked out. So yeah, so now I guess you can go ahead and comment and tell me what kind of horrible leftist I am. And by the way, if you're wondering, I'm more about like the social democracy, whatever they want to call it, that is in Northern Europe, like in places like Norway and Finland and Denmark and Sweden. You know, the places where all the good metal bands come from. That's the kind of socio-economic system I'm more about, is where you still have your businesses, you still have your capitalism, you still have your private property, but yes, the government takes in a lot more in the way of taxes, but they also provide more services to the citizens. That's what I'm much more about. Like, if you're thinking, oh my goodness, Persephone has become a communist, no. I wouldn't even really call myself a socialist. It's just, I want something more like what I see in other countries, and I know somebody's gonna come along and tell me, well, move to Venezuela, move to this place that I can't find on a map. Move. I know you're going to say that. I know somebody's going to say that sooner or later. And, yeah, if you can't point out on a map, don't tell me to move there. So, thanks for watching, everyone. Love y'all very much. Check out my welding and do-it-yourselfing channel. There's actually, coming hopefully soon, there's going to be more stuff I'm going to be doing on there, but also more stuff I want to be doing on here. So, yeah, talk to you later. Love you much. Bye.